I have a question for you. What do you do when you get home? Do you greet your significant other and talk about your day? Do you take a deep sigh of relief as long as you got some games to play? Perhaps you whip up some hot chocolate and snuggle up with a book. Or maybe you're like me and you crawl up into a corner and pull up a color wheel on your phone, then just stare at it for hours while wondering what color Persona 6 is gonna be. Seriously, guys, I'm so hyped for Persona 6 in a way that I haven't been since Mass Effect 3 in high school. I'll be driving to Trader Joe's with my sister while she is talking about her day at school, and I'll be like, yeah, but like, do you think that Persona 6 will have a strong theme of suicide in it? And then she'll just stare at me blankly, understandably. So, to help curb my almost irrational hunger for Persona 6, I made this video where I'm going to list a couple of predictions and wants for the next game. Not to mention this is a great time to do this kind of thing because while Persona 6 hasn't been officially announced, the Persona 25th anniversary is happening and it's pretty likely for it to be announced within the next year or so, which makes this the Wild West of Persona 6 predictions, with the payoff of said predictions in the not so far future. Also, it gives me an excuse to play Persona 4 Golden for the first time for that sweet, sweet B-roll. Let's start with some of the most common predictions. Will there be a female protagonist and will there be gay romance options? Now, I think it's most appropriate to say that Persona as a series is no stranger to either of these two concepts, as not only does Persona 2 Innocent Sin have a gay romance option, but its sequel, Eternal Punishment, had a female lead. Persona 3 Portable takes it a step further on the female lead part by offering a choice between both a female and a male playable character, which makes changes to your social interactions and the story itself. The fact that these things have been included leaves Persona in a strange place when you think about it. You see, in past games, starting with Persona 3, the series took a very noticeable shift by including social links and a social time management system that focuses with the player making decisions on how to spend the main character's free time and who to spend it with, forging relationships along the way. These relationships are entirely up to the player if they wish to pursue them or not, which serves as a form of self-insert for the player, as you are the one making these decisions and then see them acted upon by the silent protagonist. The self-insert nature of the game is only intensified by Persona 3 Portable's choice to play as a female character. It's obvious that they try to make these characters blank slates as well, by having them be almost entirely voiceless, having them start in a new environment with no ties to their previous life, and giving their social lives into the control of the player. Now, this would naturally suggest that you would want to include a playable female and gay romance to reach the audiences that want these choices, but if we look at the direction that Atlus took, we know that this is simply not the case. Perhaps the choice of the protagonist's sex is too much work. That is very possible, as the amount of voice acting and writing in these games is notably massive, and having to accommodate for such a choice can take away from a singular narrative. Also, I had a thought that maybe Persona 3 Portable underperformed, which is why Atlus shied away from doing it again. But, fun fact, according to sales data, the portable version outsold the original in Japan, which shocked me. This isn't to say that giving the choice of a female lead is the lone factor that pushed those sales, because you have to remember that releasing on a new platform, especially one that's very popular in the region that the sales data was tracking, will be a huge factor of those sales numbers, but I still find it interesting that the revamped version sold so well. Regardless, the resources required for including a choice for the main character must be quite high. But is that the case for gay romance options though? I don't think it is. Let's talk about Kanji for a second, okay? This boy flirts with gayness in a way that he wishes he could flirt with Naoto. He comes as close as he can to basically saying, "I'm gay," without actually saying it. To think of him as a gay romance option is not particularly difficult in any way. The only additional content that would be required is the same as what the rest of the romance options throughout Persona already have. Somewhere around event 8 or 9, you're given a choice to commit to him as your romantic partner. Event 10, there will be some different voice-acted lines to reflect this, and certain events throughout the year where you pick who to spend time with would be changed to include kanji as an option, multiple of which are not even voice-acted. I'm not saying this is a quick fix or something you can do overnight, but within the scope of the game as it is, it would be reasonably an easy implementation. Certainly easier than the length that Atlus has shown to put into the female protagonist option. So, if it is not the case of resources as to why there are not gay romance options in Persona 3 through 5, it is either an artistic or storytelling cause. Either answer is honestly unsatisfying. Artistically, Atlus has already obviously committed to the self-insert paradigm for their main character. And storytelling-wise, I just don't personally see how being gay would limit the main story. I know the differences in choosing between Naoto and Chie didn't. With all that said and done, what do I actually predict and what do I want? I predict that Persona 6 will continue to only offer male protagonists, but will offer 2 gay romance options, one in-party character and one side confidant. My reasoning follows what I've already said. Persona generally portrays stories where characters fit into gendered roles, and so your dynamic with most every character somewhat relies on what sex you are, and I think Persona 3 Portable is evidence that a lot of effort is required to fulfill this request, unlike gay romance options which seem simpler in the grand scheme of things. As for what I want, of course I'm going to want more. I want there to be a female protagonist and darn the expenses to get it. Honestly, when the Persona 25th anniversary was announced and they had the picture of all the mainline Persona games listed with 2 open slots, I thought Atlus was going to do something nutty and pull like a Pokemon, where there was 2 versions of the game, one with a female protagonist and the other male. I have since calmed down with that thought, but they're still whispering to me every now and again. Also, let me date Kanji. Yes, I want gay romance. Atlus, you make your male characters so interesting and heartfelt. You make Kanji gay, but not really. So instead in Persona 5, you bring gay people into the game, but then you make them molest your best friend. Haha, funny. So funny. Gah! Stop. Okay. I'm chill. I'm cool. No! Let me take Kanji! Let me Another set of popular predictions involves the setting of the Persona series. Where will Persona 6 take place and who will you play as? In nearly all Persona games, you play as a high schooler in Japan. The high school environment is one that presents the potential of growth for characters as they are in the perfect range of still being in their formative years, deciding who they are, while also being old enough to exhibit traits that are most commonly associated with adults. It is one of the reasons why every anime and its spin-off takes place in high school. Students can appeal to the young because of direct relatability, and the old for reasons of nostalgia. They represent a jack-of-all-trades ability to fit into any character archetype you need, and boy howdy are there a plethora of presets to choose from. From comic relief to serious plot detective, high school is an easy setting to adapt to and is a battle-tested setting of the anime world which Persona so obviously pulls from. In regards to social links, it serves as a strong setting as well. The choices of school clubs, part-time jobs, and spending time with your peers fit so perfectly into the mechanic that it's hard to imagine Persona pulling away from the high school setting without tweaking its new setting to fit the mechanic or the opposite, tweaking the mechanic to fit the new setting. On the other hand, Atlus has played with the idea of changing the setting in the past, as Persona 5 had an early concept centered around backpacking and possibly exploring the world, something that probably inspired Persona 5 Striker's road trip story. Another important factor is that the Persona series is now in a spot within the mainstream coverage that it has never had before. Joker is in gosh dang Smash Brothers, for goodness sakes. They have never been so poised for such a large foreign audience that they have been with Persona 6, and this can influence the direction that the game takes. Changing the setting, whether it's the high school or the Japanese portion, can be a breath of fresh air that enables the series to further bolster its already wide appeal. A cast of older characters might appeal to an older audience, or simply the audience that has grown up with these games. A foreign location can pull in new people with interest in that location, or general wanderlust. Any change to the established format at this point could be a bright, bold new direction the series can take. Or perhaps the success of Persona 5 is too great, and changing the formula at this point serves too great a risk of disappointing the fans who like Persona for what it is. It is not an easy decision to make, and not to mention does not even take into the artistic expression that the developers themselves might want to express into account. But we are not here for ifs and maybes, centered around vague analysis. We are here for hard, set-in-stone predictions that will be proven wrong in a matter of months, and then I get laughed at. And at least that's why I'm here. So, I predict that Persona 6 will take place in a Japanese high school where you are a student. I know, not exactly the most exciting prediction, but let's talk about anime for a second. Persona borrows a lot from anime and is inspired by it, which is plain to see as its characters fit into popular molds. The setting, as I said before, is well explored in anime, and instead of listing anything else, look at it. Persona is anime. That is not inherently a bad thing, and for the most part, it's great. Anime is well known for its bombastic characters and a more extensive range of fantasy stories that can serve as the building block for an innumerable amount of content. And yet, with all its range and possibilities, anime is also one of the most stagnant and generic forms of entertainment. The amount of isekai, or stories revolving being transported to another world, is so mind-boggling immense that it has memed itself to hell and back, and has inverted in on itself with self-referential isekai that try to make fun of the genre, only to unironically be a part of that genre? I think this is what we're going to see with Persona 6, where it's just so ingrained into its identity that it can't escape the Japanese high school's gravity. There might be some small tweaks here and there. The possibility of a college setting is one that I find most probable given its similarities to themes and narrative possibilities, but I'm not giving my hopes up. I personally, like many others, want to see some change in the setting, and I think the college is enough to scratch the itch. For nationality, I'm fine with sticking to Japan. The developers are, after all, Japanese, which means that for the most authentic writing and setting, I feel like their personal experiences serve best in a Japanese setting. I mean, if every SMT takes place in destroyed Tokyo, then it seems safe to say that Persona will be sticking to the Asian archipelago. Archipelago? Why would I include this word in my script if I can't pronounce it? Why do I keep doing this?
Archipelago.
So yeah, I think we're sticking to Japan, but I'm always ready to be proven an absolute fool. Alrighty, let's move to something a bit more out there. A bit harder to predict, something that makes me look like an absolute buffoon. The theme. So, the theme of any form of art is desperately important, and when done correctly, it affects every aspect of said art. So whatever I pick is going to drastically alter what crystal ball I got working here is showing, so let's start with what we know. Persona 3 deals with the themes of death and accepting it. Persona 4 deals with the themes of truth, especially in regard to facing your true self. And lastly, Persona 5 focuses on the theme of society and the roles it can assign to us. All of these themes are reinforced by positive twists based on making human connections, as Persona is a very positive and good feel kind of game. 3's death and acceptance is about enjoying life with the people in it. 4's truth extends to sharing your true self with the people around you for deeper, authentic value. And 5's societal roles can be escaped for the freedom of choosing your own destiny and who you spend it with. This is a decent enough framework to make a prediction off of, so I predict the theme of Persona 6 will be the value of human life. The protagonists will engage with this theme by trying to assess what their own value is and their struggles of self-worth. The conflicts they will face, of course, will be tied to the antagonist and their own views of value and others, but they will focus on other people's values to their own benefit, using their human connections for their own gain above others. In this way, you will see stories of abuse and manipulation, and with some interference of shadows from the unseen world, our characters will be pushed to the brink of loneliness and isolation. Atlas has the capabilities for darker stories, and I think that suicide will be a real threat that our party will face. And in the greatest moment of darkness, it is their connection to their loved ones that gives them the strength to continue onward and to awaken to their personas. It is the value that other people see in them that opens their eyes to their own value and their true self. In this way, Persona 6 will follow in the footsteps of its predecessors and serve as a celebration of life and the connections that make us who we are, our bonds giving value to not only others, but to ourselves as well. This is perhaps a darker take than what Atlas has in mind, but I think in facing these kinds of moments, it can shine as a beaconing light to the positivity of human existence, while not shying away from the shadows that haunt some of us. As I said before, the theme is integral to whatever art you experience, and this will be no different. Many of the aspects and aesthetics of the game will mold around these integral concepts. The Velvet Room will be the form of either a bank or casino to play into the metaphor of value and currency. Maybe the main character will be held in debt until he realizes that through his social links, he has more value than the Velvet Room can hold against him. This more melancholy tone and subject matter will result in the color of the game's style that I cannot tell you how long I've been obsessing over, being purple. Purple is also part of the ribbon for suicide awareness and prevention, which will also play into our theme. To invoke the personas that give them so much strength, the main cast might make a gesture that symbolizes their choice to live. Like, for example, if one of our main cast contemplated hanging themselves, perhaps they would tear an astral noose from their neck. but maybe that's a bit much, as if Persona 6 deals with the subject matter, they might find it hard to balance it with the lighter elements that the series is known for. I, for one, feel like I'm struggling to find balance in this paragraph, personally. The minor overarching themes of the series also play well into this major theme of human value, especially the themes of human bonds that is directly represented by the social link system. We have seen this system evolve over the last 3 games, so I think this will continue as well, and we will see the social link system add the element of interconnected relationships. In previous games, social links only relate between the player and the subject of the Arcana, but in 6, I think we're going to see some added mechanics that simulate a more network-esque social life. Similar to how you could only unlock the Death Arcana by ranking up the Devil Arcana to rank 4 in Persona 4, hanging out with certain people will lead to others as you get introduced to their individual friend groups. And by becoming more familiar with certain members of that group, you can more quickly level up your bond with members within that group as you have good reputation or word of mouth. I imagine your network of friends looking something like it does in The World Ends With You Neo. Perhaps there will be bonuses to meeting everyone in a certain group or leveling them all to a certain social rank. This also means that instead of choosing to hang out with only one person on certain dates of the year, you can actually choose to hang out with certain groups. I really like the idea of having to choose between, let's say, spending Saturday morning practicing with the band kids or hitting the karaoke bar with the popular crowd. Maybe some Arcana will be represented by groups rather than individuals. But hey, that's just a feel.
Hi, Faceless Steve here. You almost witnessed a both unfunny and overused joke. And here at Blumbus Incorporated, we strive to be the best we can. So from all of us at the Blumbus family, oops.
The next prediction is more on the fun side, and I'm just making it to be selfish with what I want. I want there to be a returning character in Persona 6, and please, oh goodness that is above, let it be Nanako. Yes, I just played Persona 4 Golden. Yes, this is a silly prediction, and yes, Nanako is my favorite and I only want more. But, hear me out, it's kind of possible. What year does Persona 4 take place in? 2011. How old is Nanako? 6. When will Persona 6 come out? Maybe 2023 or 24, which means that Persona 6 might take place in those years, which would make Nanako about 18. Or in other words, a prime age for either the high school or college setting. Would she be a playable character? I don't know. It would be cool to see her as like the last member to join with a strong toolset, kind of like Naoto. Would she be dateable? No! Atlas, you listen to me. If, for some unholy reason, I am right with her being in this game, don't do it. I know you're weird with some of the choices you give players. Once again, Persona is very anime. But look at me. Look into my eyes. Do not cross that line, please. Will she fit into the theme? Kinda? Her overall happy and bubbly personality might clash with some aspects of the theme that I listed, but she might serve as a foil to the main cast in that way. Or perhaps her past brush with the TV world might prepare her for the new supernatural elements of the game, and she will serve as an introduction to a new plot thread that helps the main cast towards their main goal of saving people. Does it have to be Nanako? Of course not, but now that the Persona series is in the forefront of video game popularity, I feel like having more concrete ties to the previous game might serve the newest iterations well. Maybe they could even do a deeper cut and bring in an older character from the first 2 entries. What else can I say? Nanako is the best. Enough said. What I saved for last is the thing I want most. More than gay characters, a fresh setting, or even callbacks to previous games. The thing I crave for most from Persona 6 is for it to retain the magic that makes Persona so great. I'm finding it hard to put into words the aspects that makes Persona what it is. The characters and story are certainly parts of the puzzle. Seeing these people struggle to face the world around them due to societal issues and expectations is endearing because we all have our own personal conflicts like this, but the fact that so many of the issues they face are resolved through connecting to another person, usually the character you control, feels like an earnest expression of the human experience. You could boil it down to the cliched expression of, "My friends are my power." But the heart of that ideal is not one that doesn't ring true in the real world. We are a social species, and it's all too easy to be swept up in the moments of everyday life where we lose sight of the people around us. And Persona has such a brilliant way of portraying this. Whether it's the faceless sea of Tokyo, where being around thousands has never been so lonely, or Inaba, where the rumors can hide as much as the fog that consumes the town. The only way to see someone for who they truly are is to talk to them. Such a simple act reveals so much more than what lies on the surface, and in showing this, it inspires players to do the same. To step forth into the world, and that despite your preconceived notions, there might just be someone whose life you can make better, and in turn, you become more of you.